I never thought I'd come out of The Accountant 2 wanting to call it adorable, but I guess 2025 just never runs out of surprises. I'm going to be 100% honest. I remember liking the original Accountant when I first saw it when it came out,
9 years ago?
but I haven't had the urge to revisit it ever since. And now that I've seen the new one, I'm a little confused because there's lots of very strange details about this movie that I'm wondering if they were a part of the original movie to begin with. Like, did Ben Affleck do this voice in the first film? Was this army of young autistic hackers part of the first film? There's just a lot of very weird decisions that this movie makes that I feel like if the original was this weird and strange, then I would have remembered it a lot more. It would have stuck in my head a lot more that I feel like this movie will. Because clearly something about these characters have resonated with Gavin O'Connor, the director, and as well as the cast, who are all returning. This is the same creative team as the original, including the screenwriter. And I think I kind of love this movie. I think I see the vision now. I mean, plot-wise, it's kind of your standard sort of dad action movie. Like, it's nothing that will blow your mind. But what really stuck with me with this film was the relationship between the brothers who are played by Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal. There's actually a whole section of the movie. It starts off with them. This is like halfway through the movie. And there's a section that starts off with them just kind of sitting on some chairs on top of this trailer that Ben Affleck's character lives in. And they're just talking about stuff and, rehashing things. And it kind of transitions into this sequence that takes place in a bar. And that whole section of the movie is probably one of my favorites sort of sequences that I've seen in any movie this year. And it's strange because there's nothing wild going on. There's no action beats in this, although there's like one really, really funny freeze frame that happens towards the end of it. That is action adjacent, given what happens, but you don't see anything, too wild. It's really just these two brothers hanging out, talking to each other, ribbing each other, having each other's backs. And it is so sweet and so endearing that I was shocked at just how invested I found myself in their characters and their relationship. And I feel like that was the key to this movie. And that's really what elevated this movie into being what I think is a sort of new classic in the dudes rock canon of movies. This was such a nice surprise. And when it does get into the action, all that stuff is really solid. It works because you're invested in the characters, because it is so much more character focused, especially with the brothers. And it's really no surprise because Gavin O'Connor is the same guy who brought us Warrior, which also dealt with relationship between, fathers and sons, as well as the two brothers in that film. So this is pretty much his wheelhouse. And I'm guessing that's the sort of thing that really sort of stuck with him and made him want to return to these characters. And I'm really glad he did, because I really found myself attached this time around in a way that I don't remember being in the original film. And I could watch these two forever, man. they were just so much fun. They have such a great sort of camaraderie between the two, and they're just so likable and fun. And, of course, they're very capable with the action sequences, which is, nothing surprising. Does the film still have a sort of a questionable way of approaching autism? Yeah, but you can tell that their heart is at least in the right place, and I would say it is better than how I remembered it in the first film. But yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but I found myself really endeared by this movie more than I anticipated. And if this sounds like it would be your cup of tea, then I think this is definitely worth checking out. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this, and I could honestly watch like a million movies with these two together. It was just a blast. So those are my thoughts on The Accountant 2. If you've seen the film, feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments.